Sustainable Supply Chain Management. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ilham Ainuddin, and I am your lecturer for the course Operational Management in the Business Administration program at Diponegoro University. Today, we will discuss an important topic in operational management, namely sustainable supply chain management, often abbreviated as SSCM. In today's global business environment, companies are no longer evaluated only by their ability to generate profit. Instead, they are increasingly assessed based on how responsibly they manage their operations, especially their supply chains. Supply chains connect suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, retailers, and customers, and every activity in this chain has economic, environmental, and social consequences. Therefore, the question is no longer how can companies produce goods efficiently, but rather how can companies produce goods efficiently while also protecting the environment and ensuring social responsibility? This lecture will help you understand the basic concept of supply chain management, the difference between logistic and supply chain management, supply chain strategies, the integration of sustainability principles, ethical issues in supply chains, digital procurement and vendor sustainability, performance measurement in sustainable supply chains, and several real world case studies. By the end of this session, you should understand why sustainability has become a core strategy in modern supply chain management. Let us start with the basic concept of supply chain management, or SCM. Supply chain management refers to the integrated management of flows within a network of organizations. These flows include three important elements. 1. Material flow, the movement of raw materials to finished products. 2. Information flow, communication of demand to inventory levels and production plans. 3. Financial flow, payments, credit terms, and financial transactions across the chain. The supply chain involves several main actors, including suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, retailers, customers. Each actor plays a different role, but all of them must coordinate effectively to deliver products to the final customer. The main goals of supply chain management include achieving cost efficiency, ensuring market responsiveness, maintaining long term sustainability. For example, when you buy a smartphone, it involves raw materials mined in one country, components produced in several other countries, assembly in a manufacturing plant, distribution through global logistics networks, retail sales through online or physical stores. This entire system is what we call a supply chain. Managing this complex network efficiently is the essence of supply chain management. Many people often confuse logistic with supply chain management, but they are not the same. Logistic is actually a subset of supply chain management. According to Christopher 2016, logistic mainly focuses on transportation, warehousing, distribution, inventory management. In other words, logistics deals primarily with physical movement and storage of goods. Supply chain management, however, has broader scope. It includes supplier relationships, procurement strategies, production planning, distribution networks, customer demand management. Another difference lies in organizational scope. Logistics often operates within a single organization, while supply chain management requires coordination between multiple organizations. Finally, the goals differ. Logistics focuses mainly on delivery efficiency, while supply chain management aims to create value and long term sustainability. So remember this important principle: logistics is part of supply chain management, not the other way around. Next, we discuss supply chain strategies. Companies typically choose one of three supply chain strategies depending on their product characteristics and market conditions. 1. Efficient supply chain. The first strategy is the efficient supply chain. This strategy focuses on low cost and operational efficiency. It is suitable for products with stable demand, low product variety, price sensitive markets. Examples include commodities such as cement, basic food products, or paper. However, the risk of this strategy is lack of flexibility. If demand suddenly changes, the company may struggle to adapt. 2. Responsive supply chain. The second strategy is the responsive supply chain. This strategy prioritizes speed, flexibility, and market responsiveness. It is suitable for industries where demand is uncertain or rapidly changing, such as fashion industry, consumer electronics, technology products. Although this strategy improves responsiveness, it usually results in higher operational costs. 3. Sustainable supply chain. The third strategy is the sustainable supply chain, which integrates the triple bottom line concept: profit, economic sustainability, people, social responsibility, planet, environmental protection. This strategy aims to balance economic performance with environmental and social considerations. Many modern companies are shifting toward this model because sustainability is becoming a competitive advantage. Sustainable supply chain management is built on the concept of the triple bottom line, introduced by John Elkington. This framework emphasizes that companies must consider three dimensions simultaneously. Economic dimension. The economic dimension focuses on business performance. This includes cost efficiency, supply reliability, as long-term competitiveness. Companies must remain profitable in order to sustain their operations. Social dimension. The social dimension concerns people and communities. Examples include worker safety and well-being, fair labor practices, supply chain equity, empowering local small and medium enterprises. For example, companies may collaborate with local farmers or MSMEs as suppliers. Environmental dimension. The environmental dimension addresses the ecological impact of business operations. This includes carbon emission reduction, green procurement, circular supply chains. A circular supply chain means resources are reused, recycled, or regenerated instead of being wasted. By integrating these three dimensions, companies can create sustainable value over the long term. Despite the benefits of globalization, supply chains also create significant ethical challenges. Three major issues commonly appear in global supply chains. Labor issues. These include unsafe working conditions, lack of living wages, child labor. Some multinational companies have faced criticism because their suppliers used unethical labor practices. Human rights issues. Human rights violations may include forced labor, discrimination, exploitation of vulnerable workers. Supplier transparency. Companies must ensure transparency in their supplier networks. This includes supply chain traceability, anti-corruption practices, compliance with ethical standards. Failure to address these issues can result in serious consequences such as damage to company reputation, legal sanctions, supply disruptions. Therefore, ethical supply chain management has become an essential part of corporate governance. Another important development in supply chain management is digital procurement, also known as e-procurement. E-procurement refers to the digitalization of procurement processes, including online bidding systems, electronic purchasing platforms, digital supplier databases. This system improves transparency and reduces the risk of fraud. For example, many governments and large corporations now use digital procurement platforms to ensure fairness in supplier selection. In addition to digitalization, companies must also apply sustainable vendor criteria, such as environmental certification like ISO 14001, compliance with human rights standards, occupational health and safety standards, ESG performance indicators. This means suppliers are evaluated not only by price but also by their sustainability performance. Once sustainability initiatives are implemented, companies must measure their performance. Sustainable supply chain performance can be evaluated using three types of indicators. Economic indicators, examples include cost efficiency, on time delivery, inventory performance. Environmental indicators, examples include carbon footprint, energy usage, waste reduction. Social indicators, examples include workplace accident rates, supplier compliance with labor standards. Several tools can be used to measure these indicators, including batch or balanced scorecard for sustainability, ESG metrics, life cycle assessment, LCA. Life cycle assessment evaluates environmental impact from the entire life cycle of a product from raw material extraction to disposal. This approach ensures that sustainability efforts are based on measurable data, not just marketing claims. Now we move to case studies which help us understand how sustainable supply chain management works in practice. We will look at two examples. 1. Sustainable procurement practices in Indonesian state-owned companies. 2. A global sustainability initiative by Unilever. These examples show how sustainability strategies are implemented at different organizational levels. In Indonesia, many state-owned energy and construction companies have started implementing green procurement policies. Some common practices include procurement based on ESG criteria, compliance with environmental documentation such as MDAL, use of digital procurement systems. In addition, government policies such as TKDN or domestic content requirements encourage companies to prioritize local suppliers. The impact of these initiatives includes long-term cost efficiency, increased transparency in procurement, reduced environmental impact. These practices demonstrate that sustainability is becoming part of public sector governance and industrial policy. A well-known example of sustainable supply chain implementation is Unilever's Sustainable Living Plan. This global strategy focuses on several key areas. First, Unilever aims to achieve 100% sustainable sourcing of raw materials. Second, the company implements global supplier traceability, ensuring that raw materials are sourced responsibly. Third, Unilever works to reduce emissions and waste across its supply chain. The results of this strategy include a more resilient supply chain, stronger brand reputation, long-term operational efficiency. This case shows that sustainability can be both an ethical commitment and a strategic business advantage. To conclude, sustainable supply chain management is not simply about regulatory compliance. It is a long-term strategic approach that integrates economic, social, and environmental considerations. Companies that successfully implement sustainable supply chains can achieve higher operational efficiency, stronger stakeholder trust, long-term competitive advantage. In today's global economy, organizations must be accountable not only for their own operations, but also for the behavior of their suppliers and partners. Therefore, sustainability must be embedded throughout the entire supply chain network. Thank you very much for your attention. Sustainable supply chain management will continue to play an increasingly important role in modern business operations. I hope this lecture helps you understand how operational management can contribute not only to profitability but also to environmental protection and social responsibility. If you have any questions, we can now start the discussion. Thank you.